Why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. Now speaking of tomatoes, let me tell you about the time I attended a party, and my love for tomatoes led me to an unforgettable gastronomical adventure. It all started when I spotted a bowl of what I thought was tomato soup. It was beautifully garnished, steamy, and inviting. My taste buds were already doing a happy dance. So of course, I did what any tomato soup-loving individual would do. I grabbed a spoon and dug in. But wait, this wasn't the warm, comforting embrace of tomato soup. No, this was a spicy, tangy wake-up call. I was eating salsa. Not just any salsa, mind you, but a concoction so fiery it could make a dragon breathe fire in reverse. My mouth was aflame and my eyes were watering as if I were cutting a bag of onions. I looked around to see if anyone had noticed my culinary blunder. Oh, they had. The expressions ranged from shock to amusement, from disbelief to outright laughter. One particularly charming lady, I think she was the host's aunt, was laughing so hard she was nearly in tears. There I was, in the heart of a party, spoon deep in a bowl of salsa, with everyone watching. I could have backed out, but where's the fun in that? So, I shrugged and continued spooning salsa into my mouth, pretending all the while that it was the best tomato soup I'd ever tasted. The room erupted in laughter, and I became the unintentional comedian of the evening. From then on, every party I attended had a bowl of salsa waiting for me, and a crowd of people eagerly awaiting my reaction. And that's why I can never look at salsa the same way again. Ever been to a restaurant where the catch of the day was something you'd rather throw back? A few years ago, I found myself in such a place, a dining experience that was so extraordinary, it was as if the universe conspired to serve me a comedy platter. The waiter, bless his heart, must have been having an off day. You know, one of those days when you put the milk in the pantry and the cereal in the fridge. He forgot my order not once, not twice, but 3 times. I'm not sure what part of "I'll have the steak medium rare" translated to "he'll have the vegetarian lasagna" in his mind. And then came the pièce de résistance, the main dish. Now I'm a man of simple tastes. I like my steak juicy, my potatoes crispy, and my veggies fresh. But what I got was a culinary surprise of the rubbery kind. There it was, nestled between the asparagus and the mashed potatoes, a rubber duck. Not just any rubber duck, mind you, but a bright yellow one with a squeaker that still worked. I squeaked it a few times, much to the horror of the couple at the next table, who probably thought I was having some sort of gastronomic breakdown. The waiter came over, as red as a tomato, and tried to explain that it must have been a mix-up in the kitchen. A mix-up? I'd say it was more of a cook's version of a practical joke. I couldn't help but laugh. This wasn't just dinner, this was a dining farce. But let's be honest, it made for a great story and an unforgettable restaurant experience. So, the moral of the story is always check your food for bath toys. After all, you never know when you'll come across a duck à l'orange that's more duck than orange. You know what's funnier than a "clean up on aisle 3" announcement being the reason behind it? Now picture this, a quiet Tuesday afternoon at the local grocery store and yours truly, minding his own business, casually strolling down the canned goods aisle. The air was filled with the smell of polished linoleum and the distant hum of the refrigeration units. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? Oh, how quickly the tides can turn. Here I was, reaching for a can of tomato soup on the top shelf. Now I'm not the tallest guy, but I was determined. I mean, how hard could it be? I stretched, fingertips barely grazing the can, and then, in what I can only describe as a moment straight out of a sitcom, I tugged a little too hard. The can of tomato soup came hurtling down, followed by its canned comrades. It was like a domino effect, each can setting off another and another and... well, you get the picture. The sound was deafening. It was like a drumline had suddenly set up shop in aisle 3, and they were only playing their hit single, The Symphony of the Falling Cans. The scene was a sight to behold. Cans were rolling around like tiny metallic tumbleweeds. I stood there, frozen, as the last can came to a rest with a soft clink. The silence that followed was almost as deafening as the crash. I could feel my face turning a shade of red that would give a ripe tomato a run for its money. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, the overhead speakers crackled to life. "Clean up on aisle 3. The irony of it all. I was the punchline of my own joke. And that, my friends, is the story of how I single-handedly caused a canned goods avalanche, and why I'm now a regular at the farmer's market. Who knew that going to the gym could be a contact sport? Well, let me tell you, it can be, and I'm not talking about boxing or wrestling. No, my friends, I'm talking about the dangerous world of jump rope. So, there I was, feeling like Rocky Balboa, ready to conquer the world one jump at a time. I picked up this seemingly innocent piece of equipment and started my routine. All was going well, I was jumping, the rope was swooshing, and I was feeling like a total champ. But then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. The rope snagged on my foot, and instead of gracefully recovering like a cat, I went down like a sack of potatoes. But it's not the fall that's the funny part. Oh no, it's what happened next. You see, in my gym, the jump rope area is dangerously close to the personal training space. And as my luck would have it, there was a personal trainer, let's call him Brad, conducting a session right next to me. Brad, who was ever so focused on his client's deadlifts, didn't notice my graceless tumble until it was too late. With the rogue jump rope still attached to my foot, I took Brad down with me. But wait, it gets better. Brad, in his surprise, bumped into a stand holding yoga balls, which rolled into a yoga class happening nearby. Now picture this, a room full of people in downward dog, suddenly disrupted by an invasion of rogue yoga balls. It was like a scene from a comedy movie, only it was my life. The end result? Me, Brad, a couple of yoga enthusiasts, and an assortment of exercise equipment in a tangled heap on the gym floor. The only yoga pose we were doing was the unplanned pile-up. So remember folks, always watch where you're going or you might just end up in a yoga pose you never intended. Now let's take a moment to relive some of the funniest moments from today's Twisted Tidbits. When it comes to unexpected culinary adventures, the unexpected soup takes the gold. Who knew that a simple vegetable broth could turn into a hilarious slimy spectacle? The secret ingredient? Well, let's just say it was something you'd find in the wilderness rather than the kitchen. Here's a hint, it wasn't a truffle. Then there was the unforgettable restaurant experience. Ah yes, the elegant ambiance, the 5-star rating, and of course the waiter with the butterfingers. It's not every day you see a tray of lobster bisque take flight, but when it does you better hope you're not in the splash zone. And remember, when life gives you flying bisque, make a fashion statement. And we can't forget the grocery store mishap. Is there anything funnier than a grown man, a jar of pickles, and a slippery floor? It was a recipe for disaster, but it cooked up a whole lot of laughs. Just remember, when it comes to pickles, it's not about how you fall, it's about how you bounce back. Of course, the gym catastrophe was a sight to behold. We learned that yoga balls and treadmills don't mix, and that gravity can be a harsh mistress, but hey, who needs a workout when you're laughing that hard? And let's not forget the time we discovered that protein shakes and sneezes are a volatile combination. Trust me, it's a sight you won't forget, no matter how hard you try. Each of these moments has one thing in common. They are all hilariously disgusting, and they remind us to find the humor in the messy, awkward, and downright bizarre moments of life. And there you have it, a few hilariously disgusting tidbits from my life. Until next time, keep laughing and remember, life's too short to take seriously.